After Conor McGregor suffered that brutal loss to Dustin Poirier, many people are assuming that he may be slowly decimating his own legacy. Case in point was this disaster with MGK during the most recent MTV VMAs. That's why today we're counting down the top 10 celebrities Conor McGregor tried to fight. But before we get into that, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin. Coming at number 10, Machine Gun Kelly. This incident has now completely overshadowed the recent MTV VMAs. Most award shows as of late have had shockingly low ratings, but there's one way to get your award show talked about, and that's by starting a fight on the red carpet. Although it's still difficult to tell exactly what had happened, some outlets today are reporting that MGK and Conor may have gotten into a scuffle over alleged DMs that were sent from Conor to MGK's girlfriend Megan Fox. So I'm assuming that when Conor approached the couple on the red carpet for a photo, this is why MGK turned him down. After Conor got roughed up by security, he attempted to throw his drink on the couple before more security rushed in to pull him away. Conor later claimed to not even know who Machine Gun Kelly was, but then in the same sentence he mentioned his rap career, so he must know who he is just a little bit. In at number 9, Roman Reigns. Back in 2016, Conor got himself into some hot water with the fans of the WWE. Rather than focusing on his upcoming fight with Nate Diaz, he decided to take some shots at the WWE, their wrestlers, and its fans. When asked by media outlets if he would continue his fighting career one day in the WWE, McGregor responded with, "I have thought about it. For the most part, I think these guys are expletives, to be honest. They're messed up expletives if you ask me. Fair play to Brock Lesnar, he got in and fought, but at the end of the day, he was juiced up to the expletive eyeballs. How can I respect that? The other guy, CM Punk, hasn't fought yet, so I don't know about him yet." He then doubled down on his comments later saying, "I didn't mean no disrespect to the WWE fans. What I meant to say was that I'd slap the head off your entire roster, and twice on Sundays," which then drew the ire of former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns, who responded with, "You're the size of my leg, shut up." It's a decent response. In at number 8, Mark Wahlberg. Back in 2019, just days before Conor said he would retire from mixed martial arts, he decided to take some shots at actor Mark Wahlberg. You see, Conor was fighting to have a cut of the UFC profits because he wanted to draw dividends from the company as a shareholder. He requested an equity stake in the company back in 2016, and again in 2017, and again in 2019. Every time though, he was rejected. So instead, he just decided to challenge Mark Wahlberg to fight over his shares in the UFC. Mark was one of the 23 celebrities that the UFC gained as investors in the company when it was sold to WME IMG for $4 billion back in 2016. In a tweet, Conor said, "I've decided to challenge Hollywood actress Mark Wahlberg next, a fight for all the shares." Although Mark never responded to his desire for a celebrity fight, this one certainly would be interesting to watch. In at number 7, Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith and Conor McGregor have exchanged words many times in the past. After Conor defeated Cowboy Cerrone in 40 seconds at UFC 246, Smith criticized Donald for his performance and accused him of quitting. In response to that, Conor replied to his tweet asking for him to apologize because those who make the walk into that octagon deserve respect regardless if they win or lose. And he's not wrong on that note. That's one hell of a difficult sport to exist in. On top of this controversy though, Smith recently blasted Conor for what he was saying about Dustin Poirier's wife following his loss. While on ESPN, Stephen said, "Now I cover the world of basketball, football, and things of that nature, and the reality is this. If this was any of those guys, we'd be all over them for the kind of language that he used. The way that he talked about that man, Dustin Poirier's family, and what have you." Adding, "There's absolutely positively no excuse for Conor McGregor to engage in that kind of tasteless, classless behavior." Yeah, and it was pretty strange seeing him on the ground with his broken leg being like, "Your wife sent me DMs, your wife sent me DMs." A little classless. In at number 6, Mike Tyson. In a bold move, Conor clapped back at Iron Mike Tyson after Mike called him dumb for taking the fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And while on the Pardon My Take podcast, Mike said, "McGregor took the biggest sucker rules in the history of boxing. McGregor put his dumb ass in a position where he's gonna get knocked out because this guy's been doing this all his life since he was a baby. McGregor can't kick and grab and stuff, he's not going to stand much of a chance." And in response to that, Conor tweeted, "That's nice, Mike, but you're looking at the new Don King here, son. Money is mine," which only angered Mike Tyson fans who continued to reply to that tweet saying that Mike would destroy Conor in a fight, which wasn't really the issue at the time, but hey, I'd pay to watch that. In at number 5, Floyd Mayweather Sr. Leading up to the big fight between McGregor and Floyd Mayweather Jr., we had Floyd's father also trying to rile Conor up. While walking through the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, TMZ caught up with Floyd Mayweather Sr. and asked him about the upcoming fight. Floyd Sr. said, "I would beat the shit out of Conor right now. I'm double his age and I'd whoop his ass." He then began to throw some punch combos into the air to show off that he still got it. And after his son won the fight, Floyd Sr. doubled down on his comments saying that Conor should not carry on boxing as he called his boxing skills pathetic. Later on, Conor raised the temperature in this feud and tweeted out, "F the Mayweathers except Sr. and Roger. There's no peace here, kid. Step up or step down." Well, at least he said except his father, right? In at number 4, Oscar De La Hoya. Another person that Conor had a lot of back and forth with was boxing legend Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar gave a sharp response when asked asked about how he would do in a match against McGregor, and in the interview he said, "Oh come on brother, I'd knock McGregor out in 2 rounds, because one thing about me, I went for the kill always." This news was quickly followed up by Conor hitting him back on Twitter and saying, "I accept your challenge, Oscar De La Hoya." Although when presented with an actual fight, Oscar sort of walked back his statements. He tweeted in response the following day and said, "For the record, McGregor, I never challenged you. I was just asked a question and I simply spoke the truth. So is it happening or not?" In number 3, Draymond Green. NBA player Draymond Green got into a war of words with McGregor back in 2017, and I'm sure he was shocked by Conor's response. A video came out that showed McGregor wearing a number 23 Warriors jersey, which is Draymond Green's number, but what he didn't realize was that it was actually an old CJ Watson jersey. However, upon seeing this, Draymond said, "We rockin' with Floyd, bro, not you. Take that off, bruh." And in response to that, Conor said, "That's CJ Watson, mate. I don't know who the F you are. No disrespect though, kid. Keep hustling and stay in school." Ouch. That is a cutting response. He then adds, "Now ask yourself why I'm rocking CJ when I don't know or give an expletive about basketball. I dribble heads off the floor, not a ball. This is no game here, kid." Draymond then continued this back and forth by bringing up that Nate Diaz whooped him in the ring. He mentioned his own credits again, and then he told him again to take off the Warriors jersey and go train for his fight, but I'm guessing Conor just ignored all of that. In number 2, 50 Cent. During the lead up to the Floyd Mayweather fight, 50 Cent had entered the conversation because McGregor called him out during the press tour in New York City. Because of his early friendship with Mayweather that turned into a business partnership in 2012, Conor felt that 50 was open season for insults. When asked about the call out later on, 50 Cent claimed that he could take McGregor in a fight, adding that he was shocked by Conor's comments but understood that he was doing his job of promoting a fight and therefore needed to put on a show. But when asked about fighting Conor by Andy Cohen, 50 Cent said, "In the street? Yeah. Come on, he weighs 150 pounds, man." The feud didn't stop there though. Later on during a press conference in Moscow, Conor was asked about what celebrity he would like to fight and he said, "So he's had to block me and I still see sometimes, I still get tagged in, other people saying he's saying this and he's saying that, so I'd like to have a knockoff with 50. So if you're listening 50, let's get it going, bud." Last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now out of all of these celebrities that Conor McGregor tried to fight, he actually got the opportunity to square up with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd ended up defeating the Irishman inside the boxing ring in a hugely lucrative crossover in August of 2017. After Conor was beaten by knockout for the first time at the hands of Dustin Poirier in the main event of UFC 257, Floyd cropped back up though to talk some more trash. In a long rant on Instagram, Floyd said, "Conor cannot even win in his own sport, but talking about coming back to boxing to fight Pacquiao. Nobody wants to see that. It's like my leftovers eating leftovers." A big point of attack for Conor was calling Floyd too small to fight, saying he needs to dress his age more often, and adding that he can't read. It was all, playground insults, but when it came down to fighting, Floyd proved that his boxing prowess is still intact, and it's probably the reason that we haven't witnessed Conor McGregor taking any more boxing matches. But folks, that's all the time that we have for you today. This has been the top 10 celebrities Conor McGregor tried to fight. Make sure you drop us a comment down below with who you would like to see Conor fight next. For now, I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube, or at least try.